I'm Ashley Chancellor.
I'm Dakota Chancellor.
We are Collateral Gaming.
Welcome to Collateral Gaming, the only video game podcast that matters, where we focus on good games, bad games, and everything else in between in the world of gaming. We are podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420 friendly podcast, so as my good friend Bo would say, smoke it if you've got it, my friends. Smoke it if you've got it. That is, of course, depending on the legality of marijuana use in your state. Here in Texas, unfortunately, it's illegal for us, so Dakota and I will be refraining. We are a 420 friendly podcast, so we encourage you to watch this in the way that it's meant to be watched. And if we could smoke a joint with you, we would. However, for now, we will have to refrain. As I said before, my name is Ashley Chancellor. Fun fact, I am the older, slightly sexier, and smarter Chancellor brother. This is my good friend and younger, slightly less sexy brother, Dakota. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. I mean, after those jokes you threw me there, I wasn't ready for that. But
well, we're all here about fun at this podcast. We just want you guys to chill out with us, have a good time. So today is our premiere episode. Are you excited about that, bro?
No, of course. Well, this is a game from our childhood. You know, I'm ready for it.
And if you didn't happen to look at the name of that game before clicking on the podcast, that is Fable III. Now, this is a game that we are super stoked about. This is something Dakota and I both play together. When I was thinking about games to do for this podcast, one of the first things that came to mind was Fable, because that's something we both grew up with, right?
Oh, definitely. I spent so much time playing it as a kid. I mean,
both of us.
Both of us.
How many times did we beat that game?
I beat it at least twice, I think.
So many times. I mean, me, yeah. Yeah, we used to go through playthroughs. We do the good playthroughs. We do the evil playthroughs. You know.
There's just so much to do. You want to try out everything, you know? You want to try being a psycho killer sometimes because it's just fun in that game, you know?
Right.
Because you can do it. Just because you can, you know?
Well, before we go into that, I do want to talk a little bit about this podcast. So we're starting this off as an offshoot of the Collateral Cinema Movie Podcast, which we do with Bo Maddox and Robert Ortegon. And they're here with us today, just chilling in the exclusive backstage pass.
VIP,
What's up, y'all?
VIP.
What's up?
Hey, everybody.
So they're chilling here with us. If you're watching the video, you might be able to see them in the background there. So we are an offshoot of our parent podcast, Collateral Cinema. However, Dakota and I, even more than being cinemaphiles, we are gamophiles.
Does that work?
Gaming fans, gamers.
Yeah, just gamers.
We're big gamers, right?
Yeah, always.
It's the first thing that I thought of as soon as Bo mentioned that he wanted to kind of branch out and do other, collateral brands. I said, hey, I think you and I straight up to you. I said, I want to do this together.
Well,
so
us.
we're
actually we are.
And for the first time, we're going to have two formats. We're going to have a video version and an audio version, and we're recording both at the same time. So here's the deal, all right? The two versions are going to be a little bit different. So for the video version, as I feel that in order to really emphasize the points of the game, I think it's a little bit different than a movie. Now, if y'all follow the Collateral Cinema podcast, you'll know that we like to intersperse, some audio clips of the movie throughout the episode. So for the gaming version, at least on the video version of this gaming podcast, what we're going to do is we're going to have interspersed commentary with me and Dakota and our live reactions a little bit longer. Yeah. That's going to be interspersed. However, I didn't feel like that would work as well for the audio version. So for the audio version, what I want to do is instead of the gaming commentaries, what we're going to do is we're going to have a exclusive audio only extra. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna record that after we record this part of the podcast.
Yep. So let's dive on into the game, shall we?
Well, I also want to let them know that we're gonna do the commentary.
Okay.
So
Right.
stay tuned for that. About every other episode, we're going to do a commentary about movie length, where me and Dakota, and if we can get some other people to join in, I know I want my friend Steven.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, we're going to jump in and we're going to do commentary, full playthrough of the entire game. We'll cut it down to about movie length, 2.5 to 3 hours. And that's going to be fun. Now, that's going to be a Patreon exclusive, so you're going to have to donate in order to access those. Just to let you guys know what that's all about, though, we'll be releasing our first one on this game, Fable 3, for free on YouTube. So check that out. Let's go ahead and dive into Fable. All right.
Yes.
So about the Fable series as a whole, what does that mean to you, Dakota?
Well, when I play this game, I feel very, I don't know, you feel open, very free in this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the morality system, the way you play the game is so, I feel so open and free. You
No,
know?
these things aren't as unique anymore. This thing is kind of been done more
true.
recently in gaming. It's other game series have picked this up. But what I think about Fable is cool is it was, to me anyways, it was one of the first examples I had of true. I don't know if we can necessarily call it a pioneer. I'm sure that there were lots of open world games with morality systems, but Fable for us was right at the beginning of when that started to become popular.
Yeah.
And there's several games that have morality systems, including Infamous, which is going to
Yeah.
come up actually next episode. And then open world, of course, has been extended. We have Skyrim, we have Zelda. But what do you think makes Fable different?
Oh goodness, there's so much about it. It's hard for me to find one point, you know, because you're right. Now there are a lot of video games that have taken from its ideas or are like that. You know, they had somewhere the morality system, the design your own character kind of. That's what I find unique. Actually, is that I thought about that now. Is the character, whenever you do evil things or good things, the more you do it, the more your appearance changes.
In the whole series, yeah, your character will
It's so
change.
awesome.
Less so in Fable 3, and we'll get into that in a minute. But in terms of the series as a whole, your character actually, you don't have any character selection options for. Your character is kind of has kind of their own character at the beginning, but they mold. And then the first couple games, you actually get to see you as a child and kind of mold what your actions will be later as an adult. Fable 3 actually features a more grouped-in storyline that, in fact, I think the first one had you go well into, I think there was no age limit. You could just keep growing.
Really?
And it would track that. But your character, because he was a hero, would only get to appearance of maybe his 60s or so.
Makes sense.
Fable 2, you could go well up there if you play for long enough. But in this game, kind of it's just one cohesive.
It mostly is because it's a little more strict.
Yeah.
It is, but the storyline that is, because
Yeah.
it's you don't get as many things you can do in this game as you could in the previous games like that, or like big parts of the game, like big actual changes. For instance, you can't be a cold-blooded killer in this game.
Yeah, because your character actually has some personality aspects.
Exactly.
We're going to talk more about the character of the prince. But yeah, one major staple of the Fable franchise is that throughout the game, your character can morph depending on your actions, depending on which way in the morality system you go. So there is good, evil, and there's even other aspects that are explored a little bit more in the other games, like corruption and purity, that will affect your character's appearance. In this game, that takes a unique form, actually. It affects the character, but still a little bit. There's still some slight differences. But starting back at the first game, okay, this game was something that was teased for a long time. Peter Molyneux of Lionhead would make a lot of promises, and some of the game didn't deliver. My friend Steven, which is why I wanted to join on here, said something about how Peter Molyneux said that you could plant a seed and then the tree would grow 100 years later or something. And obviously in the first game it was promised that you were going to be able to have children, but you can't.
Yeah.
In the game, ultimately, you can't get married and all that, and but a lot of people still felt like Fable 1 was the high point of the franchise. Now, you and we haven't played too much of Fable 1.
No, I barely got into it. I just wanted to kind of see how it was like when I played, because I played Fable 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And then I came back. I was like, well, if
We
I
started
like
with
those
2.
Yeah. And if I liked those two so much, I like this one.
I played a
Just never
little
got
bit of
far.
Fable 1 at my grandma's house. And then later on, I bought Fable 2, and that's the one I really got into. So I never really got to play. We have it at the house, but it's just so difficult compared to the other games.
It is.
They really kind of toned down. Some people complain about it and say that they dumbed it down too much and that they simplified. But there are some aspects of the series as they progress that we really like. I think each game has a unique experience to offer, and I like them all for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly. I played the 2 for the storyline, 2 for like the ability to go in the
Yeah.
storyline and change things, but 3 I played because your character progresses, you become a king.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awesome.
I will say 3 is the only one I've played through multiple times. Like,
Same.
And well, I played through 2 twice, but 3 is the only one like during a period of time I would continue to want to replay the game.
Well, yeah, well, I
Not
played
just to
2
see
and
the
beat
good
it.
versus evil, but the
Well, when I played 2 and beat it, I obviously played the good character.
Yeah.
Same with 3. I always play the good character because you kind of want to get that feel for what the story's supposed to be like,
Right.
So you want to be a good king, a good person. And the second one, I was a good person, and then I beat the game. I remember, but I started playing evil character, but I just didn't like it, so I stopped playing it.
I like to have a little fun. My first playthrough, I always had to be good.
Of course, yeah.
But then my second playthrough, I like to make all the opposite choices. I like to go the evil. I start feeling bad though a little bit. The game, I guess, does a good job. You can act like this cold-blooded killer in the game, and it ultimately the game almost encourages you. The weird thing about Fable 3 though is it almost makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Makes the good path seem like the one that's harder to travel on, which is really good. But it still encourages you
That's
and
the
rewards
point.
you to do the good. But you also get a lot of fun doing the evil. Now, Fable 2 expanded on the first game, finally added the ability to have children, not grow trees over 100 years. But in fact, the storyline was even more condensed over a shorter period of time from what I understand.
Yeah.
You just still start as a child, and you have that tutorial segment as a child, just like in the first one. But it was the change from Xbox to Xbox 360. So we saw a graphical overhaul, and we saw the game in a lot of ways was simplified, and what some people feel like dumbed down. The control system, in my opinion, is being simplified. Actually, was a good
Yeah, I see
for the
what you
series.
mean.
The first one is just so hard to operate. You have to press so many buttons, and when I play a game, I don't want to be bogged so much down by the controls. So that's something I enjoyed, was if you can accomplish the same thing with press of less buttons, you've made a better experience for the players, in my opinion. Games shouldn't be too complicated to control, because some people will say, well, I don't need it dumbed down. But the fact is you want the game to be challenging, but the controls to be easy to access.
That's a good point. In most games, I don't want to play a game where I'm too busy worrying about what the controls are to actually go through the story,
Right.
I mean, I don't like to have that many options. I want lesser options if possible, Reuse the same buttons, I don't care.
I like more options, but yeah, I like to be able to. I like the control system to be easy to do, and so you feel like a badass when you pull off these
Yes,
combos
exactly.
with barely any effort.
Yeah.
Some games recently, like Spider-Man, for instance, does a good job of a game system that, if not adapted to properly, you can fail miserably. But if you're doing it, it becomes so easy to play through. It becomes so easy, and you feel like you're really Spider-Man, like battling off. But we'll get to that later this season.
The age of industry has come to Albion. Though some call it the age of oppression. When freedom is nothing but a dream, it's time to make a stand. To lead a rebellion. To be a hero. Welcome to the city of the downtrodden. Where those who dare to speak out are punished. And those who dare to hope find nothing to hope for. fight against all odds. True rebels never give up. Yet they cannot triumph alone. The uprising has begun. But who will lead the revolution?
Played all the way through Fable 2 before, both of us, right?
Yeah, completely through.
Played through. That was a good game. I think actually you beat it before I did.
I might have. I don't remember.
Now Fable 3, once again, progresses, expands, better graphics.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people felt like it was dumbed down even more. It was even easier.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: like I said before, it's the only one I've played through multiple times.
Yeah, exactly.
So something about the storyline, whether it was condensed, might actually work better because it's kind of short and sweet. A lot of people don't see that in games.
No, not very often. No.
You and I, we love Fable 3.
Of course we do.
We love it, and like I said, I love each one of the games for different reasons. But Fable 3 for me was the most replayable for a lot of those.
They gave you this sense of you're part of the game. You become the king, and it's just so you want to do that. You know, you want to become the king. You want to save this. You want to accept people's petitions and stuff. You know,
Right.
You want to do that.
So in Fable 3, you actually have to you play the king's brother, and your brother, the King Logan, he's a tyrant.
No.
Who has inherited the kingdom from the hero from Fable 2. Is it was supposed to be your parent, which means that canonically the good ending is the only one that makes sense based on references they make. But it does it, for instance, if you have a save file for Fable 2, it will remember if your character was male or female and reference them as a king or a queen. They finally, for the first time in the series, gave the character dialogue. Before, the character, I guess, was supposed to more embody the player. Even though you couldn't select their appearance, they were very, very, very morphable. And at different points, you can change your hairstyle, change your hair color, and look complete. And you can still do that in Fable 3. But there are some aspects of the character, and we'll get into that in a moment, that are more predetermined in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of predetermined things.
In this one,
I just love the parts where they don't have predetermined things. When we talk about the appearance, for instance, where it's just so cool, where your body changes when you get evil.
Well, in this game,
more predetermined.
In this game, rather than your body changing as much, there's some subtle changes, but in this game more so, they kind of took some of the morphing features from the Fable games. In previous games, if you up you have 3 areas: strength, skill, and will, which is magic. Yeah. Strength is working with melee weapons, and skill is like ranged weapons, which in Fable 2 introduced guns.
Yeah.
And then in Fable 3 removed bows and arrows entirely.
Yeah.
Fable 1 had regular bows and crossbows. Fable 2 had bows crossbows and guns. And guns kind of took over, with crossbow being the lowest setting. And Fable 3 completely removes the crossbows because Fable 3 takes place in an age of industrialization.
Yes. That's where you get your swords and your hammers and your pistols and your rifles.
Yeah. And actually, Fable 3 simplified the combat system a lot in terms of you only have 2 types of melee weapons, swords and hammers, and you only have 2 types of ranged weapons.
Your pistol and your rifle.
Right. But anyway, with those classes, if you upgrade your melee class in the previous games, you could get really, really buff, almost to bodybuilder levels where you look kind of ridiculous. Strength, skill increases your stature, and will causes you to have these really badass looking arcane tattoos all over your kind of not so tattoos but arcane markings.
Yeah, it's glowing markings that come from you.
This game removes a lot of that. So in addition to your morality not affecting your appearance as much, the strength, skill, and will affected much. You don't get you get a little bit more muscular, but not a lot. A little taller, and your tattoos, as your will increases, will start to glow.
Yeah,
but not so much as you get like the markings all over you. But what is cool is that your weapons in the game,
Yes.
your
you're right.
your swords, those take the place of your appearance.
When you're first
morphing.
given the sanctuary, which is basically your pause menu, and we haven't explained that yet, but whenever you go into the pause menu, you go into what's called a sanctuary, what they call the sanctuary.
It's a playable pause menu.
Exactly. It's a playable pause menu. So you go around in this area and you walk to the map. You walk up to the map table and then you open the map and you can choose where to teleport.
Some people
to.
complain about it, but I like it.
I love it.
I wish
you can walk to your weapons
instead of spending. And sometimes, like when you go into a pause menu, like in Fable 2, you'll spend like minutes of time just scrolling through all the options, and you're fairly interested. But then you get out of the pause menu, you're like, damn, I wasted so much time on that.
I know you do, yeah.
But in
You're
Fable
right.
3, you're still in the action.
You're still in it.
And it doesn't take you that much longer.
It doesn't really.
In fact, you spend just as much time in the pause menu, like I said, but instead of sorting through menus, you're walking around, accessing things.
Yeah.
You have your different rooms of the sanctuary. You have the map table in the main room, and then you have your 4 rooms. One was your equipable weapons and gauntlets for magic, and the other one was clothes and appearance, and then another one was your treasury, which also includes like your achievements and stuff too. But how much gold you have, a physical mountain of gold that you can walk up, and there's even a secret you can get by creating the mountain of gold and then losing it all. So you can use a key you can access at the top, and to open the chest on the bottom,
which gets you a pistol. One
so
of
you
the
have
rare
to
pistols in the game.
Acquire wealth to get the key. Yeah,
and lose it all
to get a legendary weapon.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
I can't fast travel. What did I do? Did you think you had gone to the sanctuary?
I knew you did that this time.
Hey, you should let them see our goal.
Oh god, yeah. Check this out.
So you remember how there was barely anything? Now you've got a mountain of gold.
Keeping Kylo. And I don't know if you remember seeing us when we talked about it, but there's a key, right?
A key up there, yep.
And
he's gotten the key.
Now I gotta
So
get rid of all
now you
of
gotta
them.
empty all your gold. But there's a very good point in the game to do that, and that's whenever you become king. So
That shows all of our recent transactions.
Yep. Alright.
Trophies.
So just in case you didn't believe us about how much gold
Yeah.
we really worked on this. We got a fast travel. Alright.
Yep. Where should I go?
Where are the quests taking us?
Yes.
Hit Y. Just hit Y.
It depends. I think I got the singing sword from the chest.
Did you
or
really?
something.
I thought it was predetermined.
I think it could be one of a couple things.
I only ever did it one of my playthroughs because I realized by the time
could
I
be
got to
wrong.
that point, by the time I got to the point, I already had better weapons than that.
Yeah,
weapon.
because like I said,
I'd already upgraded my hero's weapons.
your hero weapons are the ones that morph,
Yeah.
and based on not just how good and evil you are, but also things like how many chickens
Yeah.
or how many hollow men you've slayed, how often you rely on magic.
Yes. All these and the way you do some of certain ways in the story, I think affected a little bit.
So the hero weapons kind of replace the regular weapons in the game. And you have those from the very beginning. As soon as you get access to melee weapons and ranged weapons, you get your hero weapons. You have a hero sword, a hero hammer, a hero pistol, and a hero rifle. So you have all the types. And then in the game, legendary weapons from the previous games return, which are the rare. I think there's 50 or so that are sometimes you may have to with other players.
Yeah.
You have to trade. So this game does have a co-op mode. And then you can play online or with friends. Dakota and I had a lot of fun.
That's what
and
we
my
spend-
sister, our sister,
Yeah, she would play it too. I'd finish so many missions with her, do so many things with her, and it would show her when I passed a guild seal level. It would show her character next to mine.
And this game has the best co-op. Fable 2
really
had
awesome.
what was called a henchman in the game, but they couldn't interact with the characters.
No.
They could get income, but I don't think they could work jobs or own property. Fable 3, that's all changed. Your second character, who you can load your character from from your own save file if you sign in. So you'll have all the experience of that character, all of the skills, all the perks, and character exactly as they look. They're not as involved, and they're definitely not canonical to the story. That's a little weird. Kind of messes with the continuity a little bit. But it is fun, and they're there, and they can do almost everything the main character can do.
Oh yeah,
you can.
They can do pretty much anything. I mean, one of the best things about them though is like the business partnerships you can do and the marrying.
For the first time, you can enter business partnerships or marry co-op characters instead of just NPCs, which makes for some interesting things.
Oh, I like Yes, yes.
Oh, oh, yes. Oh. Let me introduce myself. I'm you
Now you can have children together, and they'll hire a nanny because you two are both adventurers.
Yeah,
no one
it's-
stays at home.
No one does. Yeah.
And you can. And one of the cool things about this game, like I said, is the ability to romance and marry any NPC, have children with them. There are different NPCs who you can tell if they're straight, gay, or lesbian.
Yes,
It'll tell you,
and
or bisexual, or celibate.
What puts this game apart, another thing, is whenever you interact with characters, you do good options, bad options. They have a meter, a happiness meter, really.
Yeah.
If they're normally at a normal level, and the more you progress in the game, they become normally at a happy level, and then by the time you become king, and if you're a good king, everybody loves you. It literally will say love.
With people, it goes. It depends on who it is.
Yeah,
You have friend, and then you have best friend. If you're not sexually compatible,
that's right.
but if you are sexually compatible, it'll turn to love. And you actually have to do relationship quests. You increase using expressions, which in Fable 3 are dynamic. So rather than the regular static expressions that were in the game where you would just make a pose, or now you'll actually dance with them.
Yeah.
The only problem is that it kind of now, because they changed that, though, the one thing they did is that all the expressions are dynamic. And it makes it a
Yes.
lot more slow because you enter into a mode with
It does,
them.
and you have to hold it down. The longer you want to hold it down, the more guild points you get from it.
But you'll get more guild. And guild points are the game's experience system. They ditched the experience system from Fable 1 and 2
Yep.
for a system of guild points, which work basically the same. You fill up a guild seal.
Guild seal, yeah.
What's called. You fill up a guild seal, and a guild seal is an item in the game that is used for the heroes.
Yeah.
The heroes guild.
In the very
carry
beginning of the
guild
game,
seal.
you're given the guild seal. That's what allows you to teleport back to the sanctuary.
Right, so that's an item, an in-game item, like a lore item, but it's also they refer to guild seals as the experience.
Yes.
In the other games, based on how much melee, will, or skill, or general, you would have 4 different types of experience. General could be spent on any perks, whereas the other 3 could only be spent on those perks.
Yeah.
This game ditches all that. It's all general experience. So now, some of your perks now include non-combat things like expressions, the ability to buy and sell houses and shops, which is a way of making income in this game. One of the other cool things about Fable was the real estate system, right?
Yes, it was really cool. When you go to your sanctuary, you have a map, right? The map that you can talk about, you walk to, and when you go into that, that's where you can see what you own and whatnot. So you can go into different towns, and you can look in the towns, and you can see what houses you own just from that menu, just from the map, and you can see everything, every single. It's a little mini display. It's like a plush model of the town, and you can look into the town and see which houses you own, the name of the house, how much it costs, how deteriorated the house is or not. You can see everything. You can see people, if they're happy with you or not. You can see stands. You can see shops. You can see the prices of things, and it'll show a little flag for every single thing you own. It's such an awesome way of doing that.
Yeah. I love the feeling of being a real estate magnet.
Yes.
And in Fable 3, you have to for the story.
Oh yeah, you do, because you have to gain, was it 10 million at one point?
Yeah.
And by doing that, the really only way you can do that is by renting out houses. I mean, that's how you get money the quickest. Otherwise, you're gonna have to leave your game off for hours on end.
Yeah.
Or fight a bunch of enemies for hours on end.
Yeah.
That's the only way to gain
true.
money. So you have to become a real estate agent or whatnot.
Yeah. And in the game, in order to be good and make the good pathway, you have to amass about 10 million gold before you become king.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about this game, is that you're the prince. Your goal in the game is to become king of Albion.
Yeah.
To wrest it from control of your tyrannical brother Logan.
Yes.
But then you find out that Logan himself kind of has some reasons of his own for why he acts the way he acts. And when you become king, you end up having to make difficult choices. In order to become king and overthrow Logan, which happens towards the end of the game, it's kind of advertised as making like half the game is is the revolution, the other half is king. But the
it's
king
more-
segment goes by
no,
so quickly.
It's like 75-25, honestly. It really is.
The king segment happens over 1 year.
Yeah, and all that's supposed to the time that it took to get there, I guess it's supposed to be longer than the time before. I would assume you're like in game
Yeah.
canonically. I would say you're in king more than you are not king. So it's like it's supposed to build you up to that point, but then like you're supposed to spend the rest of the game doing it. But it's really only like
It goes by
25%
fast.
of the game.
They time skip several days
They
too.
do.
But
Hundreds of days.
what's interesting is as soon as you become king, you find out that a terrible evil is coming to Albion, and you have to prepare for it. And the reason Logan was as tyrannical as he was is, well, he's kind of a dick. He doesn't get excused for being a dick.
Yeah.
Killing your love interest at the beginning, I guess, to teach you a hard lesson.
Yeah.
They're right inside the castle grounds. I've never seen so many people out there.
Balls. I should have known this would happen. I don't think they realize what your brother is capable of. This isn't going to end well. Keep Albion free! We want justice! It's been a long time since Logan listened to me, but I should find him. Stay here. There's still something we need to talk about.
I have a horrible feeling about this. We can't just stand here. We need to do something. Look, the guards have moved away from the stairs. We should follow Walter, find out what Logan's going to do. Let's go while we can.
They must be in the war room.
Then let's get there before anyone sees us. Quick! You can see them.
Think about what you're doing, Logan.
I'm protecting the interests of the people. Do not question me again. You will shoot to kill. Start with the ringleaders, and if necessary, continue with the crowd.
This is wrong. You can't do this. Oh!
Never tell me what I can't do.
Walter! We can't let him kill all those people. You're his sister. Maybe he'll listen to you. We have to do something.
What are you doing here? The war room is no place for a child. Leave now.
I'm here to stop you. You can't kill those people.
No, wait. Enough!
How dare you turn against me? Perhaps you believe you should be the one making these decisions. You really wish to defend those traitors? Then so be it. Let us see how you do. Take my sister and her friend to the throne room. We shall settle this matter officially.
Move!
I'm going. What?
Leave him alone.
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Don't worry. Whatever happens, we'll get through this together.
Keep walking!
Here come the saviors of the people. Come closer, sister. Today you have disappointed me beyond measure. I have been betrayed by my own blood and a filthy spy.
We did nothing wrong.
Punishment must be apportioned where it belongs.
Punish me, then.
You are no longer a child, and it is time I stopped treating you as one. You wish to save the traitors who had gathered outside the castle this morning. Very well. You shall have your chance to save them. Here stand the leaders of the violent mob. I will give you a choice. Who will be punished? These strangers, or this boy? The sentence will be death.
No, this can't be.
You are the princess. Decide.
Your Majesty, Logan, please.
I am giving you power over life and death.
No, I won't do this.
If you can't choose, I will. They will all be executed. So tell me, what are you willing to sacrifice to do the right thing?
This is madness. We can't. We just can't. Choose me. You can't let them all die. Choose me. There's only one decision you can make. It has to be me. Those people can't die because of me. I couldn't live with that, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's all right. You did what you had to do. Never forget what he's done, and that I love you.
Take the boy away. Kill him now.
I will never forgive you for this.
Good. Then you will never forget it. Escort my sister to her chambers. Now.
But he kind of has some motivations for it.
Yeah.
And he's trying to prepare the kingdom for this threat that's coming that you find out only right before you become king. In order to get to that point, you had to, in the story, come across several people that were willing to come behind you who were pissed off with Logan.
Yes.
Stand behind you, and you had to make promises so that when you perform the coup on your brother.
Well, yeah. Well, the basis of this game starts with you you're starting a rebellion. You're starting a rebellion against the king. That's the basis. You start in the beginning, and it's triggered by him killing your love interest or him killing a bunch of other people. You make that good decision or bad decision. But in the game, they actually make him both good decisions because it's such a hard decision.
They don't have a morality.
They don't have a morality change for that part. But you choose either your love interest to save, or you choose a bunch of other protesters that Logan didn't like. And no matter which one you choose, you stick with that story. And the idea, again, is the rebellion. So you start a rebellion after that because you're pissed off about that.
Yeah.
And then you start your rebellion and you go against Logan, you become king. And then after that is you have to deal with the threat that Logan was dealing with.
Yeah.
So they prepare you for the threat, but you have to become king first and start a rebellion, and then you can deal with the threat.
Yeah. I think that's cool. But what's interesting is that in order to gain the alliance of the people that were willing to overthrow the king with you, you had to make those promises to them. And what's interesting is, in order to be good and keep your promises, you end up having to make sacrifices to your treasury.
Yeah.
And you have your treasure room that's your personal treasury, and then you have the kingdom treasury once you become king, and it does not have enough gold to save everyone. It's 1 gold for each person that survives the coming. And no matter what happens, you defeat the villain in the end, but that many people, whoever you leave, they will actually all die.
They will.
If you don't leave enough gold there.
Bring forth Sabine of the Mistpeak dwellers. Today you decide on the fate of Mistpeak, home of the dwellers, Your Majesty. Sabine will speak for his people and their land. Reaver will dispute his cause.
You may speak.
I come here seeking nothing but what was promised me and my people. You pledged to restore our home mountains and our right to dwell in them. We have fulfilled our end of the bargain. We have paid with our lives to sit you on that throne. Now you must fulfill your end. Undo the damage your brother did to our land, and our agreement shall be satisfied.
Your Majesty, this sounds both an unnecessary expense and an impudent demand. What value is there in a few trees languishing amongst snow and rock? This is not the time to indulge some idyllic fantasy. Those forests are a resource, and we are in dire need of resources. I propose we expand on your brother's initiative and take what nature offers so readily. Say the word, and I will transform the worthless wasteland of Mistpeak into assets we can use to defend Albion.
These hands are not yet so old or weak that I can't wring that pretty little neck of yours, Reaver.
The refined retort of a true mountain goat.
You made a promise.
I will keep my promise to the dwellers. The Mistpeak Mountains shall be restored.
Mistpeak shall become a protected region, and the dwellers shall be granted authority over its forests and resources.
You are true to your word and your honor. The dwellers will stand by you till the end.
The forests of Mistpeak are our greatest national treasure, and now, thanks to Reaver Industries, they have returned to their past splendor. Dwellers, birds, and bunnies are free to roam, laugh, and kill each other as nature intended. Who needs all that lumber anyway?
So what's interesting is by keeping your promises, you lose money. And oftentimes by making the opposite choice, the evil choice in those cases, you actually might gain money. And then there's various other decisions you can make as king regarding taxes. And I think there's an orphanage that you can either renovate or turn into a brothel.
Well, yeah. Well, and whenever you do rent out houses, you can choose whether or not you have a high rent or a low rent or
that
medium
affects
rent.
your corruption.
And that affects your corruption, exactly. And that depends on your money too. So that when you're doing good in the game, it's harder to get that money because you want to put all your rent low. So you have to really work on getting that money. It's harder to play as the good character.
Yeah.
It's easier to play as the good character. The evil character.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not the right option.
Yeah.
It's not the canonical choice.
Yeah. Each game seems to accept the good.
Yeah.
As the canonical. So there are some series like Mass Effect and I believe Infamous, which will account for the characters, whether they did the evil or good choice. I think. So, but in Fable, the canon is the good. They make that pretty clear.
They do. Especially in Fable 3. Fable 3 is the worst of all 3 of the games because you're in the story, there are cutscenes where you talk to other players. For instance, in the game, one of the players dies, and Walter dies.
Yeah.
And whenever you're with Walt, whenever you see that, your person actually gets upset about it.
Yeah. I want to talk about the personality of the character, but just to go into a little bit more about the context about the story, what I like about it is the weight you feel as king. That really weighs. I like a game that actually makes you feel like you're in there, makes you make hard decisions. Here's the thing: if you had saved up 10 million gold through real estate in the game, which is fairly easy to do, you just need to keep. You have to save up enough money with your first job to buy your first property.
Yes.
And you can set one property for you and your family to live in, but the rest you can rent out, and shops you can make income off of. And you can manage them all from the map screen in this game, which is good. For the first time, that's one of the things this game got right, is you're able to manage all of your real estate just from the map.
It's perfect.
Rather than having to walk up to
That's
the
what
houses.
I was talking about earlier. It's that perfect interface.
Yeah.
It's
Fable
beautiful.
1, you actually couldn't even collect rent remotely. You had to come up and grab the bag of gold.
Yes.
Fable 2 improved on a little bit more. You had to walk up to each house to buy it or to sell it or to interact with it, but you would gain the income automatically.
Automatically, yeah.
And then Fable 3, you can
way
access
easier.
all of it. So they improved in that.
But
But anyway, what I wanted to say was that if you amass enough gold, you can donate from your personal treasury into the kingdom treasury and have enough gold to cover everyone, plus more. And it'll actually give you good points, too, for donating more of your personal money.
Yeah.
So the only thing I would say is anybody playing this game is if you want to be good, even if I don't want to spoil you, I'm going to say amass enough gold.
Yep.
You think that's kind of a fallacy with this game? Is that it kind of almost punishes you for being good? Even
It does.
I think it's a better aspect of it.
It is. Well, that's the whole point of it being harder to be good. It's harder to play the game as a good person, but it's supposed to be a challenging game.
If you don't amass it before becoming king, and you're like, oh shit, I need to get the money, you can do it. It's just a little harder because they time skip several days.
They do.
So you'll have to neglect doing the main story, and by that point, there's not much left to do.
No.
So it's better to do it before. But
It's not that hard if you know what you're doing.
It's not that hard. You think you should naturally want to buy properties. The thing is, you have to keep up with it. Once you start making your income, you no longer have to work jobs anymore. Just as soon as you make enough, buy the next place. And since you can all do it from the map screen in this game, super easy.
Buying the houses, and once you have them all, save.
Yeah.
And it takes, not that long at all to get to 10 million by that point.
Yeah. So
and with you doing missions and stuff to get gold, I think you can get it from killing enemies too, can't you?
Yeah. Now, in following the rest of the Fable games, in terms of story, do you have a pretty good understanding of the story of the franchise as a whole? I know you didn't play through Fable 1.
Yeah, I didn't get that far in it, but I'm getting the point what they're trying to make.
Yeah,
the games they're trying to make.
It's a self-contained story. I mean, it doesn't necessarily affect much because Fable 2 happens hundreds of years after Fable 1.
Yeah,
whereas Fable 3 only takes place 50 years after Fable 2.
It's got its story. Well, I love that how the games are all connected.
Yeah,
I think that's cool. There's one character who's in all 3 of them, and that's Teresa.
Who is your sister.
Who was your sister in the very
hero
first
in
game.
the first game, but she ends up becoming immortal, and she lives throughout all of them as kind of a morally gray, good but maybe corrupt.
Yeah, using those statue from Fable 3, that the whole moral corrupt.
Well, Fable 3 actually doesn't have the corruption. It
Oh,
has
you're right.
corruption, but it's not tracked visibly.
You're right. That was in Fable 2, wasn't it?
But it still has a corruption meter. Your character's appearances will be affected by it. You just can't measure it.
You just can't measure it.
Evil is like killing people senselessly. Corruption is like collecting too much money on them
Yes.
in game.
A
Or
real-
having
a real estate agent,
multiple
legitimate
spouses,
one.
having sex with lots of prostitutes, paying for sex.
Yeah.
Fable 3 is it during the age of industrialization in
Mhm.
Albion. So guns were already introduced about 50 years prior in Fable 2, and this game takes place. You're the son or daughter of the hero in Fable 2.
Mhm.
In Fable 2, you can choose either a male or female character.
You're right.
Yeah. But in Fable 1, you can only be male.
Mhm.
So Fable 2 added the ability to have your different genders with minimal differences to the story. There's no dialogue in Fable 2 or Fable 1, but in Fable 3 there is dialogue.
Yeah. And your character has a voice, an actual voice.
Kind of has their own personality.
Their
to
own
some
personality. That's part of the reason why we know this game is meant to lead you toward the good path, because your character already does some good things that you want to good things he says. He cares and loves Walter. He
Yeah.
loves Elise. He legitimately loves Elise.
Yeah. So Elise or Elliot, if
Or
you're playing
Elliot,
the
yeah.
girl character, yeah. So in Fable 3, you have the prince. We've been kind of teasing about this
Yeah.
for a while here. You have the character of the prince or the princess.
Yes.
I can feel it. We're getting close to that thing. Where are you? Show yourself.
The lost sheep returns to the flock. No one ever leaves the darkness behind. Do you see? Do you see what you have allowed? We are all shadows now.
Hey, I can't get through!
Crawl. Crawl. The shadows taste of death.
Got it? Good.
You made us do it. You made us.
These beasties pack a real punch!
Tainted. Tainted, broken little toys. Tainted. Tainted, broken little toys.
Sure it felt that.
Look at what you've done to me.
I'm sorry.
You took away the darkness. It's been inside me all this time. But it's light now. I can see the sky. And it's light. I don't think I can fight anymore.
It's all over, Walter. We won. We beat it together.
Do you remember the stories I tell you when you were a child? There was a great king once. The mightiest hero of them all. Remember what you would say?
Teach me to be a hero.
You've done me proud. You've always done me proud.
Oh, Walter.
think old Walter would have liked it out here. He was always a fan of looking tall and stony. I can imagine what he'd say if he was here now.
Shut up, Ben.
Exactly.
It's time I return to my own castle. If ever you need to save the world from another abomination, you know where to find me.
My people shall never forget what you have done for them. We are proud to be part of Albion. I shall return to Aurora in the knowledge that we may at last enjoy peace. Farewell, Your Majesty.
Walter was right about you. You're a hero in every sense of the word. The hero Albion needed.
What will you do now?
I will continue to serve you the best way I can. I belong down in the city. The people there will always need help. Goodbye, my queen.
You have done what I thought impossible. You are the ruler I could never be. You don't need me anymore. And Albion will heal easier without me.
Well, Queen, old chum, ruler supreme, pal, you did it. You saved the kingdom. And it's my turn to say goodbye. I'm not cut out to be a general. And I think I'd like to start travelling again. Or maybe see if Paige needs any help down in Industrial. But before I go, let's send off our friend in style, shall we? This one's for you, Walter.
This is the world as it could have been, devoid of color, devoid of life. It is thanks to you that it isn't so, and you did it without becoming a tyrant. The people love you, and you have banished the shadow of your brother's reign. You kept your promise to Sabine and his people, when it would have been easier to turn your back on them. A noble gesture. You swore an oath to Paige to better the lives of your people. And you did so even in the face of great danger. You did for the Aurorans what your brother would not. He broke his promise, but you proved to be the better leader. Without the strength to make those choices, we would not be standing here now. Perhaps we shall meet again one day, Queen.
Aren't you going to tell me my future?
The future will reveal itself when it is ready to do so.
So the hero of Oakvale in the first game, the hero of Bowerstone in the second game.
Yes.
And then this is known as the hero of Brightwall, or more commonly the prince or princess, and later the king or queen.
The king or queen, yeah.
So, like we said before, the difference in this one is that your character's personality traits are kind of somewhat set in stone. They have lingering attachments. So, as Dakota said earlier, you can't necessarily make your character a complete cold-blooded killer, at least within the canon storyline.
Yeah.
So it's a little odd. I feel like that's one point where the game kind of fails a little bit, is that it kind of took away some of the. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but that's kind of one of the low points in my opinion.
I see what you're saying. They one of my point. What I was thinking about the game is the map. So going back to the map system.
Yeah.
There's all the places that were like in Fable 2 you can see on the new map, right? And they're actually a lot of them are renamed new places.
Yeah.
You know, you're in Bowerstone Castle. Which was just in Bowerstone before.
Well, there was Bowerstone, and then there was Fairfax Castle.
The Fairfax Castle,
which you can buy at the end of Fable 2.
That's right. I remember now.
And then you then become in Fable 2. Oddly enough, you're titled, King or Queen.
King or Queen. Mm-hmm.
But you don't really actually have any monarchical duties. You'll be able to purchase that title. This game doesn't use titles, but in Fable 2, in all the games, your character doesn't have a name, which is interesting.
That is interesting.
But at the end of Fable 2, you can choose get the title of King or Queen.
Yeah, a lot of different titles you can choose from.
Chicken Chaser.
Chicken Chaser, yeah.
The kingdom was divided. There was multiple kingdoms or whatever. Fable 3, the character from Fable 2 has now, 50 years later, has unified a kingdom.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that canonically, even if you have a family, obviously your character in Fable 2 ends up having a different family with different children, with Logan and the prince,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting because it's like, so if you had older children, why didn't they inherit the throne?
Yeah.
Canonically speaking, they must have chosen the sacrifice ending of Fable 2, where
Yeah.
in Fable 2, towards the end of the game, if you have a family, the villain will actually go out and kill them. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And if you choose the sacrifice option, you can choose a love option, which brings them back to life, which is kind of the neutral option. The sacrifice option, which brings back to life a bunch of other people that were killed, but not your family. And then there's also the wealth option, where you can just, it's the evil
Then
one.
each option defines three of the different characters. And the sage guy, the hammer girl.
Not
and
really. They were
the
all
Reaper.
good. Well,
I
no,
feel like
Reaver
the-
was evil. You're
yeah.
right.
No, wait. Think about it. The Reaver
Yeah.
option was the option to, what was it, kill everybody or whatever.
Well, anyway,
the money.
We're going off here.
I know.
We'll focus on Fable 3 because we'll have a time maybe later to talk about some of the other games. Maybe, probably not, but one is probably enough. But anyway, what was interesting is that canonically, your family must be the sacrifice option because your character's good, and they don't have a family, pre-existing family with ties to the throne. And you can buy Fairfax Castle, so that alludes to Fable 3. But yeah, like you said, the locations have changed. So Fairfax Castle became Bowerstone Castle. Bowerstone Market's still there, but it's changed quite a bit. Bowerstone Old Town became Bowerstone Industrial. Bower Lake became Millfields.
Millfields, yeah. Which was really cool because that was one of the things I remember most from Fable 2 was walking around Bower Lake. That's one of the biggest. Like I think that was a big scenery.
Yeah.
They did really well. And so when I came to this game, I was looking for that, and Millfields was interesting. I wasn't expecting that because it was always a gazebo in the middle of the lake, right? Wasn't that always there?
No, in fact, that's where the Heroes Guild was.
That's right.
Underneath, like an
It was
island.
a gazebo. It was a gazebo on that island in Fable 2. I'm pretty sure.
No, I recently played it.
Wow,
They
that's
added
crazy. But yeah, that was a really cool thing they did was bring back that whole scenery because that progresses through each game. You know,
So you can see the continuity map. In fact, Oakvale, the heroes' village in the first game, becomes Wraithmarsh from Fable 2.
Wraith
Remember
Marsh. Yeah, I remember that.
They talk about it. That's nowhere to be seen in Fable 3, but you see there's a continuity going on. So now I feel like we're getting towards the end here.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Fable series about the future, though. Did you hear about the rumors about Fable 3?
For Fable 4?
Fable 4, sorry.
No, you're good. I haven't heard any rumors, no, but I mean, I've heard it being said that there may be a Fable 4.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was ever confirmed either.
Well, there's been rumors. It's possible. Let me see here. Look it up.
That's a good idea.
Well, what happened after Fable 3 is let's talk about that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So after Fable 3, we started getting a few spin-offs.
Yeah.
And they were teasing possibly a future game.
Yeah. We got what was it? The Fable the Journey. And then we also had the Fable Heroes, was it?
Fable Heroes. I never played that one. But
I
you
never
played
did
through
it.
the Journey, right? How was
played
that
all
one?
through it. It was interesting. It was because it was a spin-off, right? So it's not the same game, it is the same game, you know. Teresa's
all
still in it.
Magic-based, right?
It's all magic-based. Teresa's still in it, and it's scripted because it's with the Kinect. The whole thing you're doing is you're using the Kinect sensor. So you use
It's on
your
the
body.
rails.
It's on the rails, exactly. So when you're playing this game, you know, you don't really have that much to say in the story, which is kind of different from every other Fable game. That's kind of why it's definitely a spin-off.
Right.
And but they still brought in Teresa, which is pretty cool. She guides you through everything, you know, but you're using your spells. You're actually moving your arms to make spells. You're actually creating magic. Like you're doing a lot of cool things in that game.
So that was actually cool for you. It didn't just feel like a gimmick?
It didn't. No, it really didn't. I mean, you don't really think of it 100% as the Fable series, you know, but the graphics are a little different too. But they put you in the same world, you know, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot about it, especially the huge magic aspect about it. The fact that it was all magic based.
Yeah.
That was such a cool feeling where you're literally grabbing and throwing magic.
Which is interesting because that game, again, continued the gauntlets.
Yeah.
Which I kind of felt was a takeaway from the series because it used to be that your magic was inherent to you.
Yeah.
But in the game, in order to create that that feeling of equipping, so you could equip in the sanctuary, because the game
Yeah.
had a big thing about no menus, right?
No menus.
No menus whatsoever. It kind of feels like it takes it a little bit too far, but the sanctuary is fun, and they wanted something for the player to equip, so you equip gauntlets, which help you focus your magic. But it always kind of felt like they weren't doing it with their hands anymore.
No, they weren't, exactly.
Fable the Journey has the gauntlets again, for whatever reason, even though it's magic-based. That was a
I
little
thought
weird.
the magic came from the gauntlets in Fable the Journey.
Yeah, that is right. You didn't have magic powers. Where in Fable 3, they say you're focusing.
You're focusing
your
it,
power
but from
into
what I
guns.
remember with Fable the Journey, it was all from the gauntlets. From what I
Yeah.
remember, I may be wrong, but I have a pretty good feeling that's what it was.
Does it give you a lot of options for being good or evil?
No, you don't have really any of that.
You know, there's not the moralities. This is a spinoff.
It's a total spinoff. I mean, it's all just focused on how you play the game, with the magic, because that's all you're using is magic. I mean, you do spend parts, like there are some parts where you take a break from riding for a while. It's really cool because when you're riding, you do this the whole time because you're driving a little a horse caravan thing, and when you get to certain places, you take breaks and you can brush your horse and stuff. But it's all hand motions. They're trying to give you more things to do with your hands,
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's all the game is. Connect game. You don't play with a control at all, and so that's why that's the point of it. So it's just a spin-off. It's not. You don't feel it in the same game, but it's in the same world. If that makes any sense.
Right.
It's not part of the game series. It is. You don't think about it as that. You feel like you're in the same world, which is pretty cool, especially with having trees in it and whatnot.
Yeah, Fable Journey. I played a little bit of it. It looked intriguing. I watched you play it, but I was waiting for the next main series
Me
game.
too.
Right. That was kind of more of a spin-off. Then we have it was a spin-off.
Yeah.
And we had Fable Heroes, which was kind of like an arcade
neither
style.
of us played that.
I wasn't really interested in that. After that, it kind of went downhill. It's been quite a while since
I haven't heard
Fable
anything
3 was
from about.
released.
I haven't heard anything about Fable in ages.
Well, Fable 4 has been confirmed.
Are you serious?
We don't know anything about it. We know that the Fable series, since it's an Xbox exclusive, this is going to be on Xbox One.
Makes sense.
Which would probably give us a reason to buy an Xbox One, right? I would do it just for this,
guess.
and
I
it's
guess
enough to push me over.
Yeah, I guess I'll stoop
there's-
down to that level.
There's, it's an all right console. Nothing against Xbox One, but we are PS4. Coda's a little bit of PC Master Race these days, right?
Yeah. Only because I have my desktop computer, though. Yeah. CS:GO, right? No, I have my PC for gaming. I can build my gaming. And
He
I
built
love
his
that.
own.
I built my own computer, so that's what I love about it. But I
won't
I'm
stoop
an
to your
Apple fan.
level.
Yeah.
I'm an Apple purist.
I am too. I try to be, but I have to game.
I completely eschew Windows. I'll get to the point where I just
Yeah, I hear ya.
And my Mac it can game pretty well. I mean,
Well,
I
it's
can't
not that it
customize
can't game.
anything.
I mean, it's a great gaming computer. I mean, people say it's not meant for that, but it's got the specs for it.
Yeah.
It's got the specs for it. The problem is not all games are Mac compatible.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to have a graphics card to play some games.
A
For
lot of the
instance, you can't
companies
do,
haven't really jumped on, even though it's possible.
Yes, exactly. Even though it's possible, a lot of people haven't done that. It's a good point.
Because a lot of people don't buy their Macs. I think PC's kind of already associated.
It's mainstream for gaming. It really is. PC is completely mainstream. People don't really use them that much because everyone has a PC.
But anyway, what would you like to see about Fable 4?
I would like to see. I loved the king factor of the game. That was beautiful, being a king or queen. And I definitely want 4 to not be a separate. I want it to be the same lineage. Like I like the idea of having the same lineage, being relative to whoever it was. They're your ancestors of the previous game.
Yeah, they're keeping.
I don't
want to.
I don't want to see a different family. I mean, they have to do that every once in a while because you can only go so many years, and then you want to go back and do some things.
I think it would be more interesting to go back in time. There's a huge amount of time
Yeah.
between Fable 1 and Fable 2.
Let's go in between.
Maybe
that
even
area.
see how the Heroes Guild was destroyed in Fable 1.
Yes, but keep it the ancestors. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a lineage, a family lineage.
Yeah, I agree. I think it should
love
be.
that.
They should keep it in the family, but I think instead of going further, because we're going to get too
Yeah,
technologically
you're right.
advanced,
You're true.
The alternative is
Go back in
do
time
like a
and
Fallout.
Go back in time and fix what you did wrong in the beginning. Get back in that game area with the bows and whatnot.
Yeah.
But do it right this time.
They could either do that route and put it in between Fable 1 and 2, or they could kind of do an apocalyptic scenario where all the technology failed and it
that's cool.
does return. So that could be an option too.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Some cool theories to toss out there.
I'd like to see more of the morality affecting the game more. I haven't seen a game that really, really, really deeply ingrains the morality. Now,
Yeah.
Infamous, I noticed your ending will be different. The story will change based on it, but it's kind of like you either, at least in the one that we played, it's either you're good or you're evil. And it doesn't really affect much in terms of, how about if it affected like gameplay and story equally? You know what I mean?
I feel you.
Fable affects more the gameplay, and Infamous affects more of the story.
Yeah.
The Fable
That's a good
story
point.
doesn't change much in terms of what path you choose. So it'd be cool if they kind of ingrain that, and more so than just changing what ending you get, but changing just what things happen in the story.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you should have the option to be a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
I think that should be an option. I don't think that was one thing that I think they should have added in Fable 3.
The problem is do you think that means they'll need to remove dialogue, voice acting for the main character,
or just have whole new cutscenes?
Yeah.
Have whole new cutscenes whenever you that's the story option.
What's
I'm
cool is
talking
you could
about.
you could even use the same voice actor, but have their voice get darker. And
That's a good idea.
Because the Fable series has always had the character was a certain way and looked a certain way, at least from the beginning. You can morph them a little bit, but they're not necessarily meant to recognize you. And I don't think the Fable series should add like a character customization necessarily in terms of from the beginning where you can make it. I think it's the idea of a pure soul that can be morphed into either way.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Kind of this child that doesn't, and I kind of like that about the first couple games is that you started as a child and then it skipped ahead.
That's a good point. They all brought that in. Well, except for 3. 3 didn't.
No, 3. You
start as like
you
a
do lead kind of a
prince.
sheltered life in the castle.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you start in the bedroom when you start leaving a cutscene into your bedroom, and you're already a prince or a
but
princess.
and what's interesting is you already have a sexual orientation.
Yeah.
So for instance, your character could, if you want your character to be completely gay, and that's the way they were born, you kind of don't have that option
You
in
don't
Fable
really,
3
yeah.
because your character either was lying to themselves or they were bisexual.
Yeah,
if they end up
exactly.
choosing someone else, because you do have the kind of. So I kind of wish give some more freedom. That was one aspect of Fable 3. I think that was, in my opinion, kind of detracted. But then again, that's part of why I love this one specifically. There's things about this one that I love, and I play this one instead of thinking about it in comparison to the games. Think about it as
its own game.
Yeah,
That's what it makes you want to play it over and over.
It's like the expectation right now is that games need to be more open world or have more choices, and that's not always true. Sometimes
Because-
a linear storyline can actually, like Uncharted, which we're going to do later this season as well.
Well, it gave you this, you just wanted to keep playing it,
Yeah.
And the other games, I mean, you still wanted to keep playing them wrong, but 3, it's just it did it the best, and it was more scripted.
And at least for us, it has that nostalgic feel, and there's something about it we love the exact mix of open world and linear, whatever the hell it is, it works.
It does.
It's fun to play. I had a good time with it, and I'm gonna have a fun time finishing up the Let's Play with you.
That'll be awesome. Yeah.
Speaking of which, we're gonna have that out. So we're gonna do the Let's Play, like I said earlier. In fact, we're gonna finish recording that tonight. We started a little bit of it, and we're gonna do the rest of it. We're gonna try to do them all in one sitting. But we'll see what happens. Permitting, we both work jobs. We both go to school. I'm super excited. What are your closing thoughts on this, Dakota?
Well, this game it was nostalgia for us mostly, so that's why this game is like I love it so much.
Yeah.
Because we played it when we were younger. But if I really dive deep into this and look at it, I see the makings of a really great game. And it's like you said, you don't even you want to just keep playing it, and you don't even really know why, because you know that Fable 2 had some things that were better about it.
Yeah.
That Fable 2 didn't, but this game still did it. It still made you want to play it, and it had that perfect mix of gameplay that you just wanted to play it.
Yeah. So most people, they said, if I talk to people and ask, I'll say hear a lot of people say, I love the first Fable game. The second one was okay. The third one sucked.
Yeah.
Or they'll say as the series as a whole it's pretty okay. It had a good start. Or I think from a lot of people, Fable 3 is kind of a mediocre game. But for me, it's amazing for what it accomplished.
Yep.
Could it have been improved? Could it have done better? Yeah, but any game can. And there are things about it that make it unique to me. There's some times where I'm just like, I want to play Fable 3.
I feel you.
You and I, we love that. That's something we kind of grew up with. I mean, we're a little older. We were like middle school, high school age, but still, it was a lot of fun for us because for us, it was actually kind of our first introduction into the open world.
It really
into
was.
a game where you could be good or evil. We had never heard of that before.
We had no. I mean, I know there were games out. I know like Grand Theft Auto had been out for a while.
Yeah, we knew about Grand Theft Auto
and games like that, but it was never the feel you get from playing Fable, the freedom,
Well, Grand Theft Auto is
everything
kind of
about it.
you are a criminal. You
you-
don't really.
you-
You're
yeah.
not going to be a good character in
No.
Grand Theft Auto.
You're gonna still kick people out of their cars and steal their cars. You're
And
gonna
you-
do that.
and you're still gonna drug hookers into the spots. Get the sex just for the laughs, so you can be like, haha, they're having sex because you're in middle school, right?
Yes.
And then get the health points, and then shoot the hooker to get your money back.
There you go.
Right? You can't play GTA and not do that.
You have to.
That and the flying cars.
Yeah. good.
Get the hooker, get the health points from her, and then shoot her back for the money.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Straight up like a mass murder on GTA.
That's perfect.
Vice City.
But Bo and Robert have apparently had a lot of fun with that
experience.
Yeah, you brought up.
Oh.
Y'all brought up some old school games. I still have 3. Grand Theft Auto 3.
It's awesome.
We want to do a mix of old and new games.
Yep.
Going forward with the podcast, this season we're gonna explore. I tried to choose a good mix of. I can't think of any games that were very many that were like just legitimately bad.
No.
I think one in particular.
Yeah, we have some plans for one.
But it's so bad it's good.
Yeah. It's okay.
But
it's so bad that it makes
the
you want to
cutscenes,
talk about
the
it.
story.
Oh, yeah,
but
it's so stupid.
I bet it's gonna be awful playing it.
It's
'Cause
gonna be
I
terrible.
heard it's just bad.
Make a great podcast.
Look forward to that. A lot of the games though are things that Dakota and I both have just had a lot of experience with, but we also added some new stuff that we haven't played. And we're gonna bring Steven on board. He had a suggestion for us, and I even have some stuff planned up until season 5.
Yeah.
As far as just ideas. Now, obviously, some things are going to be moved around. Nothing's set in stone. But this season, I kind of have it all written out. But we can morph with it. We can add some. We're going to do some indie game mini episodes. They're going to be a little shorter in length. Because spoiler free, so you guys can go play those indie games. But we're going to do games like those free things you get on PlayStation Plus, or some iOS games, Android.
Yeah. And we're both putting in our own thoughts and ideas to these games. So there's some games that I've played that he hasn't played. There's some games that he's played that I haven't played. And so we both get times where we get to try something new, and it changes the way we think of things when it's new to us, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't become like this game, for instance. It's just nostalgia to us that it's just that's why it's part of why we love it. These games will be new to us, so we can have a real good review.
Yeah,
and take on
so
that.
we have some nostalgic games, some new games, some good games, at least one bad game.
Yeah. Try to get one of those in a season at least.
I think gaming in general is just kind of fun, usually, unless the game is just really bad. It's hard to play a game all the way through and not enjoy it, at least to some extent. So anyway, we're going to continue that. We'll release the Let's Plays. If we get good feedback on those, we'll continue doing all of that. In fact, some of our choices are going to be determined by vote.
Yes. Send up a poll on Instagram or on Twitter and asking us which of the games you're going to want us to play. And depending on your answer, we will choose the one with higher votes, obviously.
Yeah.
And maybe someday later down the road or the next season, we can just play that game next time, you know?
I have it kind of planned out that way.
Exactly. So whichever one you choose will just be another one the next season.
We'll do either next season or another season at some point. Or it may determine if we do a certain game, we may do the sequel to that game the next season. I kind of have some of that planned out. But either way, you guys will watch that as it unfolds. Major thing that we want to do is want to reveal what's going on next podcast.
Yep.
And what game are we doing, Dakota?
We are going to be doing
Infamous.
Second Son.
Which is really fun. It's the only Infamous game we've actually played. We haven't played either of the other two.
We started First Light, both of us. I remember starting First Light.
Well, First Light's is a spinoff.
It is. It's just,
but we're gonna talk about that one too.
You're right. That's a spinoff. So
it's a spinoff of Second Son.
Yeah,
and Second Son, First Light. They kind of did that on purpose. You see, in Infamous Second Son, that's the third game in the series. And again, the third game, and another game that's deeply affected by morality.
Yeah,
but in different ways.
I remember actually going to a GameStop once and playing it, like, you know, because I have it ready.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it once and playing a little bit of it, but I remember just noticing, like, I think you like ride on the pole lines.
Yeah, I played some demos of that.
I did that
like
too. I remember
Walmart.
doing it. I think you and I probably both did at one point.
Yeah, it was electricity based, but in Second Son you have multiple elemental powers. That's a really fun game. We both played through multiple times. Kind of another short and sweet condensed story, but also open world. And that was more recent. That was on PlayStation 4, so that's going to be fun. So we're going to do Infamous Second Son, and then the next podcast is when we're going to do our first poll. So I'm going to go ahead and announce it now so we can drop that poll now, and then by the next episode we'll be able to announce which one won the poll. And that poll's going to be on Instagram. So Dakota and I, especially I, love Zelda, my favorite game series of all time, or at least one Zelda episode every season, and my two choices are going to be, well, actually, my two favorite games of the series, and I wanted to do one or the other.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, which just came out this last year, or Majora's Mask. So let us know on the Instagram poll as soon as this episode's released. I'm going to release that poll. Y'all can vote on that and have a good time with it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then assuming enough people vote on that, we'll be able to pick. And we're fine with doing either one of those games.
Yeah, both two options have great parts about them. I mean, Breath of the Wild is so great to talk about because
we will do both.
We will do both.
Whatever that one for sure. Whatever we don't do this season, we're doing the next season.
Yeah.
And then we'll pretty much get to every Zelda game at some point.
We will.
Every Zelda game is going to be covered.
Well, like I was saying, Breath of the Wild is so great to talk about.
At least the main,
you know?
the mainstream, the console ones.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that later. For now, we're just gonna have that pull out.
Mhm.
Did you have anything else?
No, I don't really have much to say. I about Fable 3. It was the game we grew up on. So
Yeah.
you know, we love so much about it. So
Collateral Gaming out.
Yeah, but Logan was just kind of a dick. Sometimes. That's a cool outfit. Yes. I'm not sure if I'm offending him.
I don't have a choice.
What happened?
I don't think it's makeup, bro. I think it's my career stuff.
No, you totally had makeup on. There's like for that like look like
I didn't deliver it.
This is the coolest scene. Everybody bowing. It's not the end yet.
Collateral Gaming is an L Company production. All music and game clips are owned by their respective creators. Please don't sue us. We're poor.